They said it was just a stolen backpack, but that lie trapped a 16-year-old boy inside one of the most dangerous jails in America. He wasn't proven guilty. He wasn't even tried in court. Yet, he disappeared behind the walls of Rikers Island for years. No one came to save him. No one believed him. And when the truth finally came out, it was already too late. This is not a movie. This really happened. A boy went in innocent and came out broken. What happened inside Rikers Island shocked the world. But what's worse is that it could happen again. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the real stories that the world tried to forget. This is not fiction. This really happened. Every word you're about to hear is true. A 16-year-old boy from the Bronx was accused of stealing a backpack. No proof. No video. No witnesses. Just a claim. That one moment changed everything. His name was Khalif Browder. And what happened to him inside Rikers Island exposed one of the darkest truths about the American justice system. It was May 2010. The night was quiet. Khalif was walking home with his friends after a small party. A police car pulled up beside them. The officers said a man had just been robbed. They pointed to Khalif. He was confused, nervous, but calm. He said, "I didn't do anything." They searched him. They found nothing. Still, he was handcuffed, pushed into the back of the car, and taken to the station. A few hours later, he was charged with robbery. His bail was set at $3,000. His mother didn't have that kind of money. $3,000. That was the price that separated a free boy from a cage. Khalif thought he'd be home in a few days, maybe a week. But those days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into years. When he was transferred to Rikers Island, he didn't realize he was stepping into one of the most violent jails in the United States. A place where fear ruled and mercy didn't exist. Inside, the air was heavy. The shouting never stopped. Doors slammed. Fights broke out. And at 16, Khalif had to learn the rules of survival fast. Don't talk too much. Don't look too long. Don't trust anyone. Even then, it wasn't enough. He was beaten by other inmates. Jumped in the showers. Attacked for no reason. The guards didn't protect him. Sometimes, they were part of it. There's real footage showing officers throwing him to the ground, punching him while he was handcuffed. The pain wasn't just physical. It was mental. Each beating took away a piece of who he was. Each night, he went to sleep wondering if he'd make it to morning. He told people later that Rikers felt like another world, one where time stopped and no one cared what happened inside. His mother visited every week. She told him to be strong. She said the truth would come out. But every time she went to court, the case was delayed. Again and again. 30 times in total. Sometimes the judge wasn't ready. Sometimes the prosecutor wasn't ready. Sometimes the witness didn't show up. Every delay was another heartbreak. Khalif was offered a deal, plead guilty, and go home. But he refused. He said, "I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say I did something I didn't do." That decision cost him 3 years of his life. 3 years for a crime that never even happened. Then came solitary confinement, the box. A small, concrete cell no bigger than a bathroom. A bed, a toilet, a metal door. No window, no sound, no sunlight. He spent 23 hours a day in that room, alone. Only 1 hour outside, if the guards allowed it. He talked to himself just to hear a voice. He said he'd look at the walls until his eyes hurt. Sometimes he felt like the walls were breathing. Sometimes he forgot what day it was. He once said, "It's like dying in slow motion." 2 years in the box. 2 years in silence. 2 years losing pieces of his mind. Outside, his mother kept fighting. She called lawyers. She begged judges. She tried everything. But the system didn't care. Khalif stayed trapped. 3 years came and went. Then one day, they told him his case was dismissed. Just like that. No trial. No explanation. They opened the gates and let him walk out. After 1,000 days behind bars, he was free. But the truth is, he never really left Rikers Island. Freedom didn't feel real anymore. The air was too open. The light was too bright. He couldn't sleep. Every sound reminded him of the jail. The keys. The doors. The shouting. He jumped at everything. His family said he'd sit in silence for hours. Sometimes he'd start talking, then stop mid-sentence, lost in thought. He started college, trying to rebuild his life. He told his story in interviews. He wanted people to know what Rikers did to him, what it did to so many others still trapped inside. People called him brave. They called him strong. But inside, Khalif was still fighting invisible battles that no one could see. In June 2015, Khalif Browder ended his life. He was 22 years old. The world finally noticed what had happened, but only after it was too late. His mother said Rikers Island killed her son long before that day. And she was right. His death became a symbol of everything broken in the justice system. People protested. Politicians promised change. New York City vowed to close Rikers Island. But the years passed, and the gates are still standing. The cells are still filled. The stories haven't stopped. Khalif's story isn't just about one boy. It's about a system that punishes the poor, forgets the innocent, and hides the truth behind concrete walls. It's about the voices that go unheard and the lives that vanish without reason. And somewhere right now, another young man is sitting in a cold cell, waiting for a trial that may never come, waiting for justice that may never arrive. The story of Khalif Browder is real. It's painful, it's unforgettable, and it's only the beginning. Because what's happening inside Rikers Island today might be even worse. In the next story, we'll go deeper, into the heart of the island itself, into the lives of those who are still inside, the ones who made it out, and the ones who never did. The next part of this video takes you even deeper, past the fences, past the gates, into the cold, dark heart of Rikers Island. This is a place that most people only see in headlines, but the truth inside is far worse than anything reported. And make no mistake, this is real. Every story, every scream, every secret buried behind these walls happened. Rikers Island is not fiction. It is real. And it is happening now, just a few miles from the city that never sleeps. Rikers Island is not just a jail. It is a world of its own, a city where fear rules and mercy doesn't exist. Investigations have revealed shocking truths. Guards smuggling drugs and weapons, officers taking bribes to look the other way, fights arranged for sport. Corruption didn't exist in a few corners. It ran through the system itself. Inside those walls, violence was not random. It was a tool of control. Inmates learned quickly. Survival depended on being invisible, on saying nothing, on walking the tightest of lines. Every day for those inside is a test of endurance. Imagine being a teenager locked in a cell no bigger than a closet, knowing older inmates are watching for any sign of weakness. Hear the shouting echo through the hallways. Smell the stench of sweat, fear, and despair. The guards who should protect you are often the ones you fear most. And the young men, some barely out of childhood, are forced to grow up in the most brutal environment imaginable. For many, freedom is a memory. Every step outside is a reminder that life has passed them by. The violence is only half the story. The silence is worse. Many assaults were never reported. Injuries were labeled as accidents or horseplay. Officers wrote false reports. Footage disappeared. Inmates who tried to speak up risked punishment, sometimes solitary confinement, sometimes worse. Solitary is a small, cold room where light barely enters, where sound does not exist. Days, weeks, months spent there can erase a person's mind. Many inmates emerged from solitary confused, broken, and deeply changed. The system did not just punish the body. It aimed to destroy the mind. Yet even in that darkness, there were cracks of light. Families refused to be ignored. Mothers stood outside courthouses holding photos of sons who never came home. Fathers wrote letters demanding answers. Former inmates spoke to anyone willing to listen. Investigators and journalists began to uncover layer after layer of abuse. They found patterns of corruption that reached the highest offices. The public began to see the truth. Rikers Island was not just a jail. It was a machine of suffering, hiding behind bureaucracy and secrecy. The twist is chilling. Some of the very people tasked with enforcing the law were breaking it. Guards were charged with smuggling drugs, contraband, and weapons into the jail. Some officers physically abused inmates for sport. And yet, for every officer arrested, many more continued their work with impunity. The very system designed to protect was failing, sometimes deliberately, sometimes by turning a blind eye. And while politicians promised reform and closure, Rikers remained open, operating as if nothing had changed, as if the years of corruption and abuse never existed. Even as promises of reform surfaced, the system remained stubbornly resistant. Deadlines for closing parts of the facility were pushed back again and again. Each delay meant more young men and women entering cells without proper protection. More lives lost to neglect, violence, and fear. And the stories of survivors grew more urgent. Each interview, each report, revealed the same haunting truth. Rikers Island is a place where survival is luck and justice is optional. The gates may look secure, but the real danger lies inside, invisible to those on the outside. The corridors echo with more than footsteps. They echo with memory, fear, and despair. The cries of those who were forgotten linger in the minds of the few who have left. Some survived to tell their stories. Some didn't. And the next story will follow those who lived to speak, those who saw everything, and those who revealed the secrets the system hoped would stay hidden. These survivors carry the truth about what it really means to be inside Rikers Island, where the cost of survival can outlast any sentence. And now, as you sit here listening, know this: Rikers Island is still open. The cells are still filled. The stories continue to unfold. Some will escape, some will not. And somewhere right now, another young man or woman is being locked in a cell, waiting for a trial, waiting for freedom, and wondering if anyone cares. The next part of this video will take you into their world, the world inside Rikers, where the walls hide not just prisoners, but the dark secrets of a broken system that has yet to be fully exposed. What happens inside Rikers Island next will shock you. The stories the world doesn't want to hear, the truth hidden behind concrete walls. This is real, not fiction. Every scream, every secret, every life changed happened exactly as it will be told here. And among those trapped inside are survivors, the ones who endured what most would not, and lived to tell the story. One of these survivors arrived at Rikers at just 22 years old, accused of a minor crime. He believed the system would work. He thought he would serve his time and return home. But nothing prepared him for what awaited. The bus ride to the jail smelled of metal and disinfectant. He was handcuffed, and the doors clanged behind him. Inside, rows of cells stacked one atop another loomed before him, filled with men of all ages. Some were silent, some shouted, some stared with eyes hollowed by fear. That first night, he realized the world outside no longer existed. Violence was everywhere. On his first day, a fight erupted between two inmates. Knives flashed, fists struck, and the guards stood by. Sometimes they waited, sometimes they joined in. He quickly learned that no one was there to protect him. Not the staff, not the law, not anyone. Young men barely out of childhood were beaten, humiliated, and pushed into corners for the amusement of others. An inmate was thrown against a wall. No report was filed. No help came. Silence ruled, and speaking up could make you the next target. Survival required invisibility. Keep your head down. Avoid eye contact. Do not laugh too loud. Do not speak too boldly. Even a minor mistake could be fatal. He ate quickly, slept lightly, counted the screws on the ceiling to mark days, and avoided corners where fights often broke out. But one small mistake sent him to solitary confinement, the box. 30 days in a cell barely larger than a closet, where light barely entered and sound did not exist. Days blurred. Nights stretched endlessly. The walls felt alive, closing in, erasing him piece by piece. Outside, his family refused to be silent. His sister visited weekly, bringing letters, small gifts, hope. She held his hands in the visitation room, trying to remind him of the world outside. But inside, he felt himself changing. Sleep brought back memories of fights, slamming doors, shouting voices. Even after release, the fear lingered. Freedom didn't feel free. Every street sound, every shadow, reminded him of the jail. The life he had left behind felt distant, unreachable. Then came the cracks in the system. Files and records revealed inconsistencies. Hidden reports and blurred footage showed abuse and neglect. He realized the violence was systemic. Officers abused their power, and the administration often ignored it. He began speaking publicly, telling his story. With every interview, every speech, he exposed a system built to punish, break, and silence. The more he spoke, the more he realized he wasn't just telling his story. He was giving voice to thousands who never would. Recovery was slow and painful. He earned his diploma, started a job, tried to rebuild his life. But the memories followed him. The box, the fights, the fear, all remained as invisible scars. People saw a young man who survived, but survival came at a cost. The emotional wounds were deep, lasting, and often invisible. The world expected gratitude. He was grateful, but he was also deeply aware of what he had endured. His story became a warning, a call to action. He spoke of Rikers with courage, exposing physical abuse and psychological torment. Journalists listened. Lawyers listened. The public began to hear the truth. Rikers Island was still alive, still dangerous, and still controlling lives in ways most of the world could not imagine. Each news story reinforced what he had survived and revealed that thousands still remained inside, facing the same nightmare. Now, as you watch this video, remember this: Rikers Island is still full. The cries, the fear, the violence continue. Some inmates are innocent. Some are guilty. All are human. And this survivor's story is just one of many. The next part of this documentary will take you into the lives of the youngest victims, the ones most at risk, and the reforms that may or may not reach them in time. The story of Rikers Island is far from over, and the truth is far darker than most will ever see. As this story comes to an end, remember, the walls of Rikers Island still stand. The gates are still locked, and thousands are still inside, living the nightmare we've just uncovered. Some will survive, some will not, and many will never have their voices heard. What you've seen here is real. Every scream, every injustice, every hidden secret happened exactly as it was told. And even though the story ends for now, life inside continues. The system is still broken, the corruption still exists, and the cries of those trapped still echo through the cold, concrete halls. But the truth has a power of its own. Survivors have spoken. Families have fought. Journalists have uncovered what was meant to stay hidden. And change, no matter how slow, has started to take shape. Yet the question remains, will it ever be enough? Rikers Island is more than a prison. It is a mirror showing the consequences of a system that punishes the vulnerable and protects the powerful. And until it truly changes, the stories will keep coming. The walls will keep standing. And the voices will keep whispering the truth that the world can't ignore. If you want to see the next story, where we uncover the youngest victims of Rikers and the system's hidden failures, stay with us. Like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss the truth. And remember, what happens inside Rikers Island isn't just a story from the past. It's happening right now.